I was born in 1960, June 1st, in town of Zenica in Yugoslavia. Now we call this country former Yugoslavia because in the meantime it broke up to 7 smaller countries. So Zenica now is a part of Bosnia-Herzegovina. After 9 years I moved to Sarajevo, which is now capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. When I was young, and now we are talking about late 1960s, everybody was talking about the cosmos, astronauts, rockets. So my first years, yes, I was exploring, but somewhere in the universe, in my mind. During my teen years, I was reading a lot, and I mean a lot. It would be like 100 books a year. And I was reading all kinds of literature about the philosophy, the law, the history, about the spirituality, about different meditation technique and so on. But one thing is really catching my attention at that time, the history, because I realized that most great places was about the history and different sites. No. However, my father was the first PhD in mining in former Yugoslavia, and he was a very respected scientist. He had been traveling a lot, doing a lot of lectures, writing books. He had a big library, so I had really a good place to learn about the science and the scientific methodology. I've done all my education in Sarajevo. After elementary, high school, I got my 4-year bachelor in economics, and then 4-year bachelor in political sciences, and then 2-year study in sociology, and then my master's. It took me 5 years in international economics, and finally my PhD in under 6 years in history of civilizations. To be more precise, the Mayan studies, Mayan pyramids and Mayan cities. Well, I was actually traveling a lot during my 1970s, 1980s, and I left Bosnia before the war started. The war started in 1992. And I had been in Houston, Texas since, where I spent about 2 decades, 1990s and 2000s. And that was a period of very intensive travel. It's very convenient to travel from Houston, Texas to Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize. But also to go to the countries like Peru, Bolivia, and later on, of course, China, Egypt, Mauritius, Canary Islands, and so on. I was approached by the director of the local museum in the town of Visoko. He invited me to come to Visoko. Well, those days I was researching another ancient phenomenon, the stone balls. And with my crew I decided to stop by in Visoko, which was on our way. So we did spend a day in Visoko then. So April 2005, I'm coming to Visoko for the first time, even though it was just 30 kilometers, 20 miles away from the capital city of Sarajevo, where I spent almost 30 years of my life. But I never had the need to go to that particular town. So I'm coming to Visoko, and what really caught my attention was this hill towering the town. And it was rather obvious its regularity. So I was going from different angles, looking at this hill, as people called it, and I could see that it did have 4 sides. Those sides were triangular, so we got 4 triangular faces. Corners were rather obvious. So geometrically speaking, it did look like a pyramid. So since I knew that majority of the pyramids in Central America, in the countries like Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, or in China, they were covered by soil and vegetation, I immediately suspected that it was actually an artificial structure. When I took compass, and compass showed me that those sides perfectly matched cardinal points, there was no doubt in my mind that this was an artificial structure. But after thousands of years, covered by soil and vegetation. Now, we got the same climate belt that countries like China, Bosnia, Mexico, and Guatemala are in. Of course, people are aware of pyramids in Egypt or Peru, but they are in different climate. Dry, sunny, no rain, no greenery. When I saw the pyramid and I realized that that was an artificial structure, I asked the people who were around me to go with me to the top of what we call today the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They told me, well, there is nothing there to see. I said, regardless, let's go up to the top. So we did. What I had in my mind was if there was any more structures in the valley. So we climbed the top, I was looking around, and there it was. Just across the valley, there was another regularly shaped hill. I could see 3 triangular faces. I could see a plateau on the top. Both pyramids, what I named the Sun and the Moon Pyramid, I could see flashes in my mind that at one point the valley was completely paved with the sandstone plates, that the rivers had a little bit different flow than today, and then whoever wanted to come to this central part of the Balkan, they had to go between those 2 pyramids. And then immediately, in my head, 2 names came. The Pyramids of the Sun and the Moon. But since we were in Bosnia, I said there are hundreds of pyramids of the Sun and the Moon in Central and South America, so I'm going to give them this prefix Bosnia. So everybody in the future would know that we are talking about these particular structures. And then I told the people who were around me, gentlemen, do you know that we are standing on the top of the biggest pyramid on the planet, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and the cross is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. So I already named them, and for the first time ever, one person claimed that those 2 hills, as everybody called them, were actually artificial structures. Six months after the discovery of the Bosnian pyramids, I realized why I really named them that way. I realized that when the sun moves on the horizon during the midsummer, the shadow of the Sun Pyramid moves towards the Moon Pyramid. And then exactly at the sunset, the shadow completely covers the Moon Pyramid. So such an obvious astronomical relationship is the only one in the world between 2 pyramids named that way, Sun and the Moon. Then the third one, the Pyramid of Bosnian Dragon. Well, actually, we don't have dragons in Bosnia, but dragon is a symbol for knowledge, not only in Bosnia, but in China, Mexico, Peru. So I gave my respect to the knowledgeable builders. Temple of Mother Earth is the fourth structure. Well, Earth is our mother. Even though in the last couple of centuries we behave like we are the conquerors of our planet, taking everything that we need energy-wise. But eventually we are going to understand that we have to live in harmony with our mother because she gives us everything we need for the life. And the fifth one, the Pyramid of Love. I am aware that some of the archaeologists have been criticizing me for such romantic names. But it seems that they don't realize that words are very powerful. And the most powerful word is the word love. So the idea by naming one huge structure as a love pyramid is to color the valley with the feelings of love and send those feelings, good vibrations, love vibration, to the world. Now, the classification I've made about the pyramids is totally different than what conventional science offers at this time. Conventional scientists are talking about the Mayan pyramids, about Egyptian pyramids being tombs for pharaohs, about pyramids in China being the emperor's tombs, about pyramids in Mexico being places to sacrifice the enemies, and so on. Most of it is simply wrong. What I have noticed during my research is that, for example, in China, out of 250 pyramids in the central province of Shanxi, 20 biggest pyramids are at the same time the oldest. The biggest pyramids in Egypt, those that Egyptologists assign to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dynasty rulers, are the biggest and the oldest. The same thing in Bosnia and in Mexico also. So my classification is talking about the oldest, biggest, and most superior pyramids which fulfill certain scientific criteria. So we call them pyramids. And if you fulfill those criteria, then the pyramid becomes an energy machine. Most of the other pyramids that were built later are simply replica of much bigger ones, and they would not have all the elements. So they were not actually the energy machines. So if you now know which pyramids are energy machines, like the biggest Chinese pyramids, or Kokhker pyramid in Cambodia, or Giza pyramids, Meidum pyramids, Dashur pyramids, Saqqara pyramids in Egypt, Teotihuacan pyramids in Mexico, Palenque pyramids, Bosnian pyramids, and so on. So now we have those energy machines. What is the purpose of this energy? Since the pyramids were built by a more advanced civilization than ours, that answer is not very simple. As a matter of fact, the energy had been used on different levels. So there are multi-purpose energy machines. So your question was if the pyramid energy actually stabilized our planet. The answer is yes. The purpose of the pyramid energy is to improve the molecular structure, whether it is man, plant, animal, water, food, spiritual aspect, to diminish global catastrophes like huge volcanic eruptions, or earthquakes, or even to repair the holes in ozone layers, and so on and so forth. However, during our research in Bosnia, we realized the true purpose of pyramids, number one, is to be the communication device. Communication on vast distances. You're not talking about long distance between New York and Houston. You're talking about the distance between the planets, between the solar systems, between the galaxies. Second one, to protect what is the most precious to us, and that's our health. The third one, to improve the molecular structure of the water. Instead of low vibrating water that we drink at our homes or we buy at the stores, which is bottled water, energetically dead, we have the water exposed to the pyramid energy that becomes high vibrational, energetically alive water. The same thing goes for the food. The same thing goes for our auric field, for our chakras that open much more, for our immunity, and so on. So, the answer to your question, yes. The truth is that pyramid could be, and probably were used to stabilize the energy of our planet, but there are many other uses. We use the name the pyramid complex, and it consists of the pyramid as the key element. Like in Bosnia, we have a case of the biggest pyramid. The most important is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. We have several other structures. Some of them are built from bottom up, like the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon or the Pyramid of Dragon. Some of them are actually shaped hills, like the Love Pyramid or Temple of Mother Earth. Some of them are also structures built from ground up, but they have different shapes, like the conical shaped hill, which we call Tumulus Invratica. Probably there are several of them. And if we go back to the original times, probably there are dozens of smaller structures. Below the ground, we discovered the first level of tunnels, which we call ravne. They are much bigger than people can even imagine. We are talking about dozens and dozens of miles. Most probably we have several levels of tunnels. Not only first, but second, third, maybe even 7 of them. So huge complex above and below the ground. So all of this really are parts of Bosnian Pyramid complex. So we have this huge complex, and it has always been about the energy. You have electromagnetic field that is measurable. The energy flows through the tunnels. You have ultrasound, 28 kilohertz frequency, which is the levitation, very good frequency. You have 7.83 hertz, it's an extremely low frequency, which is called in science Schumann resonance. That's our natural energy field. The last 3 decades, because we've been producing so much bad electromagnetism through computers, laptops, TVs, microwaves, electrical grid, and so on, the frequency of our planet is getting higher, 12, 14, 15 hertz. In the tunnels, we are back to our natural energy field. When we add several more elements, like high concentration of negative ions that really kill viruses and bacteria in our body, when you add the lack of natural radioactivity, the lack of harmful cosmic radiation, the lack of Wi-Fi signal, the lack of cell phone signal, obviously the Ravne tunnels are the most protected area on the planet. The moment you get inside, your body does not have enemies, harmful radiation from above or from below. So they have such a positive environment, and without the enemies, the body cells can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process, to start the self-healing process. So if you want to define how come the pyramids have this healing aspect, well, it's a combination of probably 10 elements that we can measure today. Maybe there are some more, but we do not have proper scientific instruments to measure it. We humans are not only the physical beings. We have our physical and we have our energy aspects. we have at least 7 different energy fields. The first one is the most dense, it is called the auric field. We have 6 more. So, the moment we get inside the tunnels, the regeneration process starts. Not only on our physical body, but who knows where is our main problem. We think maybe it is liver, coughing, asthma, skin. But it seems that there is something like a little supercomputer on micro level deciding what the priorities are. If you're going to spend 1 hour, then this computer decides where we should put the regeneration effort. Even people who come to the Ravne tunnels and they had no problems whatsoever, or they think that they don't have it, there is some regeneration process done. Now, we have been witnessing for more than 10 years now, people as they are going inside the tunnels, that they breathe excellent. Their energy level goes up. They walk so easy. People with the asthma problems, for example, they breathe so well when they get outside the tunnels, they don't need air pumps anymore. People with the reduced lung capacity, and it's been proven in several cases, the capacity of the lung would rise after visiting the tunnels.
You went into the tunnels as a volunteer for 4 hours in the morning on Friday, July 14th, 2017.
Yep.
Now, tell us about your condition before you went into the tunnels.
A chronic sinus condition which originated from an abscess that I had in a tooth, and the infection then spread to my sinuses. And I've seen multiple doctors and been on numerous courses of antibiotics, and in fact 2 weeks prior to coming on this trip I had another course of antibiotics because I didn't want to get into a plane with this sinus condition, and it's never been effective, and I found after that stint in the tunnels that I was breathing easier. I'm a bit dusty today, but I really haven't had the same level of well, the infection's gone. I'll say it that way. The infection has gone. I'm a nurse. I know what infection looks like, feels like, and so yeah, I'm infection free and have been now for what is it, Tuesday? So 4 days.
How long had your sinuses been a problem for you?
It was about 4 to 5 years.
Every day?
Every day.
So chronic really means chronic.
Chronic is, yeah.
What is so special about Ravne? What are the conditions in there that you think helped you?
I don't know. Something to do with the airflow, or you know, there's been other people that have reported breathing easier. You know, diabetics lowering their blood sugar. I was hopeful. I wasn't sort of counting on it, but I was hopeful, and I've been fortunate, and we're going back down the tunnel tomorrow. So the more time I can spend in that tunnel, the better.
So it's been 4 full days here in Bosnia that you feel healthy again.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the universe's reward for working for free for Archaeological Park Foundation.
Could be. You know, funnily enough, I was having that thought today. I thought, here we are, moving these buckets of dirt, and perhaps we're all being rewarded in some way.
With health?
Yeah, yeah.
What a concept. Can you give us an Australian cowgirl yell before we go?
Yeehaw!
People with the problems with the high blood pressure, it immediately normalizes. We've done experiments with 10, 15, even 20 people. We would measure them before and after the tunnels. We would measure the elasticity of their blood system, you know, arteries and so on, and we could conclude that elasticity is much better when they come back, meaning that the blood moves more, immediately causing the blood pressure to get to the normal level. People with a high glucose in the blood, when they come back, the glucose is reduced, sometimes even 5 points. Now, it is unheard of that you can reduce sugar, let's say from 10 to 5, only after 1 hour, but it does happen in the tunnels. 10 or 12 years ago, it started on anecdotal level, but in the meantime, we started doing projects, medical studies, and we've been doing more and more, proving that the self-healing process really is happening. It doesn't matter what kind of a problem you have. It can be as simple as a cough or cold, or very, very serious. We can see the improvement. However, it's very important to note that our foundation, Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, does not do healing. We don't give any medical guarantees. But what we do, we share the experience, we share the testimonies, and we started doing some medical studies so we can show people what they can expect, but no guarantees. And I would say that in the last 13 years, we have been going first from one aspect, which was exclusively archaeological. So we were actually digging, looking for the structures below the soil, the Sun Pyramid, the moon, the tumulus, under the ground. We realized it was not enough. That's why we moved to many other scientific disciplines, asking people to come, to measure, to help, to support. We had people from the classical sciences like geology, pedology, Egyptology, paleontology coming and joining us. But also we've been applying high-tech scientific disciplines, georadar, geothermal, geophysical. And then, so it was science, multi-disciplinary approach to this project. But then we realized it was not still enough, because we have this energy aspect, which can be covered only by physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers. So we added the third aspect, archaeology, science, energy. And that was not enough, because literally thousands of people were telling us, people who were sensitive, that they had such a beneficial effects of this pyramid energy on them, on their spiritual bodies, on their spiritual abilities. And this is why we are adding this spiritual aspect. And that was not enough because of the testimonials of so many people about the healing aspect. And really, if we have those 5 aspects, then we can easily decipher the reason why the pyramids in Egypt, Bosnia, Peru, Mexico, China, Cambodia, and elsewhere were built, but not only the pyramids. The same goes for the major megalithic sites like Stonehenge in southern England, or Avebury Hill, or Glastonbury, or Karnak in western France, or Nandshog, or Alesteiner in Sweden, Ruzhmenhiri in Israel, and so on. Visoko, which is 40,000 inhabitants, has already become a Mecca for people who love the ancient history, for people who want to know the real truth about our roots, who we are, where we are coming from, who was helping us on our journey. Because once we realized that what they've been telling us about the ancient past is wrong, or mostly wrong, then we realize that everything we have in our present also has to be changed. Then we also realized how our society is organized with elites controlling, dominating, and manipulating with information and our lives. It's a very important part. And then, once we realize that there are such huge energy complexes like Bosnian Pyramids, but also other complexes, then we would know, hey, there were more advanced civilizations than us in distant past. And then it would trigger thinking about questions like, okay, what did they know? How long would they live? Did they have fear in their lives like we have in ours? Because if you look at all our institutions, from educational, scientific, political, corporate, media, they are all based on fear. People who are junior managers in the corporate world are afraid what the senior managers would say. Journalists are afraid what editor would say. Professors, what the deans, or rectors would say. So fear is everywhere. Has always been this process of fear present in different societies? I don't think so. There are other times when people realize that they are not only physical beings, because if they think we are physical beings, then we fear death. Then from that fear, or other fears are generated. Fear of losing your job, losing the money, losing your home, losing your cars, losing your savings accounts, you fear. But then if you go back in the time, people of course knew that we are not so simple, just physical body, which is for one use. But they were also the souls. Souls are almost forever. So if you know that you have that entity which is almost forever, there is no need to fear. If you don't fear, you become free. Once you are free, then you start getting communities of free women and free men. Now, in order to realize that, even today, we can do it by developing our spiritual abilities. We have 5 physical and 30 spiritual senses. Every physical sense has its counterpart in spiritual aspect. We can all hear, see more. But then you have spiritual senses like telepathy. You exchange your thoughts. Telekinesis. You move the objects with the power of your mind. Teleportation. You move through space and time through very strong energy fields which used to be produced by big pyramids like Bosnian or Egyptian pyramids during the original times when they were built. So now imagine us developing all our spiritual abilities, what we can use them for. We use them to understand the world beyond our physical reality. And then we are really free. And we can live in a balanced physical and spiritual aspect. So if we can get parts of that knowledge from ancient civilizations, then it can help us a big deal. And in Bosnia, we are really not only about one archaeological discovery, we are about rewriting the history. This project is about getting the freedom back to the people. One little example. Thanks to the visitors who come to Bosnia, who help us financially, thanks to the volunteers, thanks to all of them, we've been able to start buying properties near our archaeological location. For example, we purchased about 55,000 square meters of land which was really swamp, neglected, full of garbage, and transformed it in a very short period of time into one of the most beautiful parks in Europe. Now we have a lot of interesting installations, stone circles, labyrinths of energy, labyrinths of purification, labyrinths of health. We have spiral botanical gardens, and so on and so forth. We have a lot of meditation platforms, yoga platforms, beautiful activities. The entrance to the park is free. We build the road, infrastructure, it's free to park there. Installations are free. Everything we have in the park is free. We build a conference room which is free to use. We want people to have this feeling of freedom back. first year, 2006, when we announced the news about the pyramids, when we started digging, that year I would say we did have tourists. And there were a lot of them, more than 200,000. It was just rivers of people pouring to town of Visoko, most of them from Bosnia, but a lot of them from the surrounding countries, Croatia, Slovenia, and so on. But as we started discovering so many different aspects, energy aspects, healing aspects, of course scientific, then it was more about not tourists, but the foundation guests. I would go to different countries, do lectures, got people interested. They were coming as our guests. Of course, we have developed the service to receive them, our guides, and we've been developing those locations as the real destination, archaeological and tourists. So in the period of 2005 to 2018, I would say close to 600,000 people have visited Visoko, and they got touched by the pyramid energy. Especially in the last few years, when people come, they do not behave like tourists. If you want to visit Egyptian pyramids, then you are really tourist, because they are all about the money, they are totally commercial. And plus, they don't even give you the right story. They give you the fairy tales about pharaohs of the 3rd, 4th, 5th dynasty being builders, and those pyramids being tombs. Of course, that's not true. But basically, you go to Egypt, you got the photo of you in front of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, you ride the camel, and you tell your friends, hey, I visited pyramids. These are tourists. What we have in Bosnia is different. We give people information from different scientific fields and energy fields and spiritual fields, encourage them to meditate, to feel the place. So when they come to Bosnian pyramids, they tell us, hey, this is what I felt. This is the energy which is here. This is the spirituality that we became part of. So I would say we've been promoting different approach how to visit and feel the pyramid sites. Good thing about myself is I don't have a boss, so I decide what to do, where to go, what to say. When I bring the groups to Bosnia, like I did in, let's say, September 2018, it was a one-week group, I was the host, and sometimes in the middle of this tour, I told them, I'll tell you what, why don't we go and volunteer one day? And this is what we did. And we did that in the newly discovered tunnels, which we named Ramne 3. So we went and we simply volunteered. We were clearing the tunnels from the filler material. But when it comes to my schedule and promotion of the project, I am really so happy to cover almost every corner of our planet. Today I'm in Houston, yesterday Nashville or Sedona, before that 1 week in Italy. Next week I'm in Czech and Slovakia, then next month I'm in Germany, Austria, Slovenia and Holland. After that I'm in Egypt. So basically I've been covering so many different countries, so many different continents. And as the time goes by, when I come to those conference calls, I ask people, how many of you visited the Bosnian Pyramids? It's more and more hands in the air. For example, 6-7 years ago, when I was going to Munich, Germany, nobody visited Bosnian Pyramids. 5 years later, I had the lecture, it was 500 people. I asked them how many were in Bosnia. Half of the hands were in the air. I was very proud. And at least 30 volunteers among those. So, those who want to learn, those who has this joy discovering or rediscovering the past, And the idea about the better future, yes, they gonna get connected with the Bosnian Pyramid projects. But I don't have illusion that 7.5 billion people would come and visit Visoko. And even if they do, probably Bosnia would sink. David Wilcock has been following this project for over 10 years now, and he's been respecting what we've been doing. And this is exactly what he told me, and even though he hasn't visited the Bosnian Pyramids yet, he expressed desire to come and do so. And I believe that he will come. Nikola Tesla is probably one of the most genius living beings belonging to human civilization ever. And I would say that he would immediately understand the subtle forms of energy that the pyramids emits and receive. That he would be such a great help, and we would be all students of his. The ancients are actually speaking to us. It is up to us if we can understand all the complexity of this project. But if they do come, probably they would be wanting to make sure that we do not abuse the pyramid energy. Imagine if you build the biggest pyramid on the planet above very powerful energy sources, you are getting very powerful energy machines. So, are we ready to receive and use the pyramid knowledge in a proper way? As a society, maybe we are not, but it doesn't mean that we should not investigate. Our planet is our mother. Our mother does speak because our mother vibrates. Our mother does communicate with other cosmic bodies, especially with the sun, which we can call our father. Our father gives us warmth. Our father gives us light. Our father gives us life, but also our Father gives us knowledge and information, and we are still not there to understand that vibration, the same like the vibration of our planet. The moment we tune in, the moment we will realize that we can communicate with them and that we are only the children to those cosmic bodies. Everything is energy. Everything is about the vibration. When we hate, when we have big ego, when we are upset, when we are violent, we vibrate low. The moment we get love in our life, we will start vibrating higher. The moment we start using products, water, or the food with a high vibration, it will help us to vibrate higher. It will help our thoughts to be at a higher level, and then we should be able to understand the vibration of our planet, the sun, and the whole universe. And this is the message we should probably get from the pyramid builders. First, respect everything that is alive, and especially your mother planet, Gaia or Terra, as you said. Learn to love and be loved, and then you'll be happy and you will fulfill your goals and your mission. Of course we can. Nauči da voliš i da budeš voljen. I ispunit ćeš sve svoje životne ciljeve, bit ćeš sretan i ostvarit ćeš svoju misiju. Yes, I do. This is my lovely family. These are my teen years in Croatia, then Yugoslavia, my cousins and some of my friends. I had a beautiful youth, I must admit. I had people who I love so dearly, and I still do. And this is another proof that everything is about the love. I'm a very happy man, and one of the reasons that gives me happiness is that I realize what is my mission in life. Obviously it is connected with the Bosnian Pyramid complex. It's not about the archaeology, it's about raising the global consciousness. And I will be continuing doing so, doing the best I can do for the community. Once you give, you realize, then you're going to start getting back. If you want to accumulate, to get, to have money, material stuff, you will never have enough. So I would say with the years, the wisdom is coming. But I'm still a student. Think about our lives. Don't waste the time. This is the most precious element and resource that we have in our life. And think what our mission should be. How we can help community to prosper. How we can help those around us. And once we realize what our mission is, then focus and fulfill it.
Spread the light not only here but through the whole earth.